We have a really special guest coming on today. Not only is she the queen of resources and also one of my close friends, but she's a Gene Keys expert and she has so many codes to share with you on how to implement this in your work to help expand in your soul business. So this is the magic of what happens. Hello, Nancy. What's up? There is so much magic that happens. Our soul business is literally a projection of what's going on in our subconscious mind. If you're here, you are not unfamiliar with the fact that your business is a mirror and that it is asking you to evolve in certain ways. And so what I have found so cool about Gene Keys, and I've literally done a reading with Summer, was that it gave me these really, really, really interesting nuances that helped me expand in a completely different way than I could have found on my own. I found the work deeply up-leveling. And so I'm so excited to get her on. We're just getting her in here in just 1 second. But either way, guys, today's live is going to have so many keys for your metamorphosis in general. So the whole key of your metamorphosis is you evolving into the version of you that is the most free. And that's what helps you to serve the most people. Be free in your financial aspect as well. And so when you are the most free and most in your expansive metamorphosis, this is when you are able to build the soul business that you feel destined to. So we're going to get Summer in here in just 1 second. I'm so excited to introduce her. Her work is so deeply powerful. Let me see if I can get her in here. Some of you in here already know her. Hi, Wendy. Also, I'm so excited. She has so much to share with you guys. Hello, Summer. What's up, girl?
Hey, hi, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Long time no see. I already told everyone that we're also friends in real life. So also hi Alexa. Oh my gosh. So I'm so excited to have you on. And I think we have such an amazing overlap because with metamorphosis and what the work you do with Gene Keys. And I was kind of saying also, I know you saw some of this, but I was also saying that, when we did our reading, this work was so deeply profound to help me kind of see the ways in which I was needing to expand or just a new angle to be able to expand. So first, I would love for you to just introduce yourself, the queen of resources, and anything you want to share about the work you do.
So vague. I could go so many different directions with that.
Right?
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Summer and I have been totally devoted to Gene Keys from my own transformation. It was the first modality that I had introduced into my life that shifted me in a way where all of a sudden I was seeing tangible changes in my life and I was like full send in devotion to it, wanting to share it with everybody. And that was about 3 years ago. And it just started as whoa, this really cool fucking tool and resource just helped me so much. Let's see what it can do for other people, on an emotional level, but also let's just see, just a total openness. And it took me about a year and a half to realize that most of the people that I were attracting were women and they were entrepreneurs and they were actually looking to utilize this towards fulfilling and actualizing their purpose. And I was like, oh, oh my God, okay, I help female entrepreneurs heal their fear frequency so they can make more money in the ways that they want to. And duh, because that was my own transformation too, but it took a while, when you're just starting off as being an entrepreneur, it's it takes a year and a half, and you're just gaining clarity on who you naturally are attracting in your soul-led business.
Oh my God, so good. And I kind of love that you brought in the piece of your audience because that's so much what I talk about is the soul. It's the audience you're being guided to. And oftentimes I talk about this all the time. It's you're going to see it reflected in the people that are coming to you, even if it takes a minute to consciously understand. So I love that you brought that in. And yeah, obviously your work is so in line with what I kind of teach on my page with money and being seen. And I think there's a huge link between those two. So in general, a huge pattern that I've been talking about with clients and, talking about even just with people on my page is this kind of fear of being seen. And I actually think it is super linked to money, but I'm curious to hear, I remember when we did our reading, that was I know I don't fully understand Gene Keys, so there could be a piece that I'm misunderstanding, but I'm curious, like your angle from Gene Keys, like how that all plays together, or like some of the most potent pieces of Gene Keys that you see play out in these pieces.
Yeah. So to give like a specific tool that people can go and like look at on their Gene Keys chart to help them with this creating safety to be seen is their life's work.
Mm,
So if you guys are looking at your chart, your life's work is at the very top of your chart. And it's about expression. So I also use it with messaging. Fun fact. And it's about expression. It's about taking action. So it really helps if people are struggling with procrastination. And it also is about creating safety to be seen. So if you
mm-hmm,
go and see, that's the shadow is like the main fear frequency
mm-hmm,
that you're here to heal in order to create that safety to be seen in your gifts, to be seen in your radiance, to be seen just as you are and who you
yeah.
are. Yeah.
Yes. So friggin' good. And I kind of love, yeah, I was like, there's definitely this link, especially with soulpreneurs, with being seen and sharing their gifts. And that's actually something that's actually been coming up for me behind the scenes. And I kind of talked about in an email I sent out today
Mm.
or the other day, where a lot of times the more we step in and the more we want to expand in our business, there's this like fear of being seen that comes up. So I love that angle of it. So thank you for sharing that. But yeah, I'm curious, like in your journey, I know you talked about how, yeah, that was your journey, was using this in your entrepreneurship and now helping other women. So I'm curious, not only for others, but also for yourself, like what have been the biggest shifts that you've seen? I know there's probably so many, but yeah, anything like specific that you want to share about just, yeah, how this has completely like changed the game for you?
Cool. Yeah. Well, to like roll into it with this whole visibility theme. So in my last group, and I've never had this happen before, and it's kind of the magic of working in the quantum and working with the energy field when it comes to business. But I had two people go viral, and our only focus is how do we heal the shadows, and seeing what creates from that is like it's the most fun part, truly for
Yeah.
me. And there was one woman who came to me, and she had been doing all the business stuff right. She was posting every day for 2 years. She was niching down. She was speaking into the specifics, and she what was her? She called herself the biz healer. It's
Fuck
just
yeah.
such a vibe, like such a vibe. I was like, this is so fucking cool. I love that name. Like, love what she stood for. But her business literally wasn't taking off the ground. So we're like, okay, something needs to change. We don't know because we're doing all the right things on paper, right? Like she is doing all the right things on paper. Okay, let's do the energy work and see what happens. And through her shadows, we kind of realized like what part of her energy field was kind of like pushing people away, and more importantly, like keeping her away from herself and her authenticity and what she really wanted to be doing that maybe was off script, right? That maybe broke the rules of what you're supposed to do for business. And so whatever, through that plus like she wanted to do numerology, and I was like, just like this the stuff that lights you up, right? Like you're feeling intuitively called to, like just fucking lean in, like fuck it, who gives a fuck, you got nothing to lose. Excuse my
No, it's
language,
so good.
to Lily's audience.
No,
Okay.
I'm about it.
Okay. And then literally after our call, she hung up. She went and posted this thing on TikTok. She woke up to like 3 million views and like thousands of followers, and is now known as this numerologist who's not really niching down. She's like, I'm just fucking passionate about this modality of numerology and I'm just going to teach it.
Oh my God, that is so powerful. And I have so many pieces of this because, okay, so when I teach people about soul audience, it's kind of like a mix of both. Like, yes, the messaging, the niching, and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's like your soul audience and like what you're just in general, like who you're supposed to be reaching or how you're supposed to be reaching them will often come in the things that light you up the most. But what I see happens is, again, people will sink in and they'll be really triggered by it. I even sometimes, when I was sinking in, I would run away from it, but I'll have people who sink in and then it takes a few weeks for it to really sink in
Mm.
because it also brings up all these shadows that you need to process. So this is just so on par with like what I've been seeing also, where it's like people almost run away from the thing that lights them up the most because I feel like when it comes down to it, again, as soulpreneurs, there's this fear of success, like really deep rooted in our body. And I actually always tell people too that, running towards success, whatever that looks like or feels like or is meant to be, your business moving and life feeling peaceful and good is scarier than like things going than how they have before. So I love that example because that is also something that, as I've expanded my business, like a lot of times too, it's like even as you have your messaging right, there's still going to be these pieces that come up. So I love that so freaking much. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious too if there's anything. I feel like I remember there was a gene key that had to do with like success or just what, that's such a vague term. And I think it can be a really like glorified and glamorized thing. But I'm curious your thoughts on some of that as well.
Um, there's so
There's probably a
many,
lot.
yeah, because it all ties into our energetic field, which plugs into these pieces like, oh, of our aura, our radiance, of our expression, of how we handle money, of how we expand our business, of how we even take initiative on what is our like soul calling.
Mhm.
Um, so if you're looking at your chart, there's a lot of like, so if we're looking at things like color coded, I'm sure this audience will appreciate just looking at things through
Hell
colors.
yeah.
If you look at the blue spheres, those ones are all about breaking through like mental limitations
Mm-hmm.
that are meant to help you expand like your place in the like a working field, you know, um into like how do I give back? How am I of service? What is the energy that allows me to take those steps and be of service? And
Yeah.
then how do I the energy to help me expand
Fuck
that, to help me
yeah.
express it, to give it through action? And so, but energetically, from what you were asking me, I did feel called to talk about the pearl sphere.
Fuck yes. I love
The,
this.
okay, because the pearl sphere is like if we're talking about some on a tangible level, it shows you your relationship to money. And
Hell
then
yeah.
the pearl, and then on a spiritual level, it's like fulfillment. It's like the ultimate fulfillment that that feels like success to us on a
Mm-hmm.
soul level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Um, so it's really cool. Like if you see your shadow when it comes to the pearl sphere, you're almost instantly you can see how it shows up in your relationship to money. And it's just the gift is meant to help you mend that relationship that comes with all those fears. Because I know for me, like fears of success showed up through me like judging other people's success and
Mm.
like judging people who have money and judging people who just get to lay around and create content and make millions of dollars. Like that's how the fear of success showed up for me. And then it's been this unraveling of identity and allowing myself to desire and like saying like do it without guilt, without feeling like that shame for this way of like of living and getting things that I want and having like a thriving, stable lifestyle.
Mm. Yes.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah, I love how you tied that all in because that's kind of why I was putting it in quotes because it's such a vague thing. And I love how you tied it into those pieces of like the pearl sphere. Because, yeah, when it comes down to it, like also all of our versions of success look different. And I love how you said it came up too. And like the way that your brain was processing things. I had a huge moment. I'm going to talk about it really quick for everyone watching. But when I was getting a lot of clarity on who I was meant to serve, I had tons of shadows come up around this. But as like almost quarterly, there's like a whole other layer that comes. I don't even want to say quarterly, it just kind of like waves in and out. And that's actually something that I've been moving through even today. But that being said, I had this huge moment like right before my business like really started moving and like I really did have money started coming in and in the form of soulmate clients coming and telling me that the universe sent me is essentially the like what that equals. But I moved through this huge fear of success and like what it would mean to have more money in the bank, and like because I was serving these soulmate clients. Because when it comes down to it as soulpreneurs, I mean, we don't even need to say this, but success in our business is serving the people we're meant to. That means we have people coming in and money also coming in. But so every single time that I would go through these like incremental increases in my business, I would often move through some sort of fear of success or like fear of what that would mean to have that next level of things come in. So again, I love the way that you tied it into the pearl sphere, and I definitely remember when are now reading like that aspect. I think that's like where I was the most. So I freaking love it. Um, yeah, I mean, there's so much we can share about that and money. If there's, let me know if there's anything else you feel called to talk about with money, because I know that's like something you really help soulpreneurs with. So if there's anything else you want to speak on that aspect, I would love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I
Because I know we've had
just
so many conversations behind the scenes on that.
I know. If only we could record all those. Like, just to be like, oh my gosh, you guys, like, ugh, I knew that I was meant to be an entrepreneur, and I like that the journey to like building a successful business is like just such a fucking journey.
Yeah.
And it took me years to be able to just say straightforwardly, I want more money.
Right?
I want to make money. Like I couldn't say that without like these blankets of like guilt and like, oh, I must be such a like whatever the stories were. I couldn't
Right.
even comprehend it. But just to be able to claim like I I want to make more money. I want to be a sovereign woman generating income, and I want to help other women claim that as well. Instead of spiritually bypassing it, like all of these things get to come with the money, right? It's like it's not authenticity or making money. No, it's authenticity and making
Yes.
money. Like
They're
it's like
literally
yeah, like make money or
the hearts.
period.
Oh my
I know that
God.
was so cool. It's not like make money or you know do a humanitarian soul-led business. It's fucking both. Like, and I think that's what so many people are hungry for. It's the what they call the Aquarian age, where we're like, how can I be of service in a way that feeds the whole? And that also means taking care of yourself. That doesn't mean sacrificing who you are and your own needs. And that's part of the scarcity healing. It's like I kind of didn't know that until I started getting into the frequency and the energy work of it and like, oh my God, I thought these were just like humanitarian philosophies that I lived by, but instead they actually were just like scarcity stories. And
So true.
and instead of like preaching these like philosophies, it's like, oh, I just get to be an embodiment. Like I'm being the change that I wish to see, and I want to help other women learn how to make more money in the ways that they want to. Like we get to do that. It's good.
So good. Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like in that way we have like a really similar mission in terms of like empowering entrepreneurs to make their money that way. And yeah, when it comes down to it, money is literally just like a neutral value exchange. And I love talking about this aspect of money, and I love all these pieces you tied in. But yeah, I initially started my business doing intuitive readings, but then I like quickly realized I'd like had this huge transformation in money. And that was kind of when I got guided to help people with money. And then it got really clear on like light workers and intuitives and all that. But yeah, it's like money is actually really neutral. We tend to make it a really, really like out of reach amazing thing, or this like really negative thing that makes the world evil, when in fact it's literally just a mode for value exchange. And I think that's like why money is so triggering. And this actually even goes into our visibility conversation, because I was really scared to be on here talking about money initially, and now I love it. But I still see it trigger people. And I'll talk about it, and I'll have people like, that haven't started their business yet. They're like, yeah, I see a lot of people talking about money. Like, why? Like all this kind of stuff. And so I think a lot of times too, it's like holding, like, for myself, like I hold visibility around like just being really open about money and speaking into it, and in the same sense, you know helping others to expand in their money impact as well. And really quick note about this too, I think for intuitives and light workers and new paradigm leaders that I work with, a lot of times people, again, there's this like really deep money wounds. And I know we've definitely talked about this in one of our hours long conversations when we hang out, but a lot of times there's almost kind of like a witch wound in a way, where we don't believe we get to make money this way. And it actually even comes from these beautiful balanced Eastern villages where their healers are paid for, so then their services are free. But in this Western society and modern society, it just doesn't work that way. So we get to, as soulpreneurs and women especially, and I know there's some men in here, so you guys as well, but that being said, it's like we get to have our value and our worth, be compensated through like money. It's like the exchange. So obviously I'm very passionate about money,
Yeah.
but yeah, let me know if you have,
Well,
go
I
ahead.
do actually, because it's like even deconstructing for me, like this idea of value and this idea of self-worth. And I remember as um, somebody who really sucked with money and spent a lot of years as an adult being piss poor, when I would hear people say, and like business coaches say, like, um, tie together, like, oh, if you love yourself more, you'd have more money, or like tying together like self-love and money, because it just brought up so much shame in me. It was like I do love myself. Like it's not about that. Like blah 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 blah. And I realize now what components are true about that. It's like self-love is me devoting myself to my business on the daily. Like I'm showing up for it because I'm doing what it takes to take care of myself, to like take care of my business. Like to me,
Mm-hmm.
that's like me loving myself, how loving myself fuels my business. But my inherent worth as a human being is not tied to my business. Like I refuse to allow it to tie to it. But there's different ways to like show value propositions, and I'm sure you understand this too. Is like value is always changing. People see value in different things. How can we speak the value? How can we understand how other people might see the value, but not allowing like it any of the process to mean anything about who we are as a person, but to just be like feedback, like, okay, so this is another thing that I had to go through with like all of the scarcity healing was like, okay, if I'm creating a low vibrational life,
Mm-hmm.
it's not because I'm a shitty person and I'm a piece of shit and I suck. I'm just a hand-me-down little weirdo, like that whole identity. Like it just shows that I energetically have lower vibrations. And just seeing it as like from a vibrational point instead of meaning something about me actually allowed me to work with the scarcity.
Fuck yes. Oh, I love this aspect of the conversation too, because yeah, it's really a whole process of de-internalizing everything, especially as sensitive humans and like as kids, a lot of us internalize everything. And I know that I've been someone in the past who's been that. And I think so much of it is, yeah, de-internalizing and knowing that I think business is the ultimate shadow work for that because like you're gonna feel people's projections. Again, sometimes I talk about money and people really are triggered by it. And that's totally okay. And also, knowing that our worth isn't inherent in these types of things or how business moves or like how many people buy your program and all this type of stuff. So yeah, it's like the ultimate ability to like how much can we detach ourselves from what's going on and be able to look at it objectively. And that's actually, I know that we also have this conversation, but recently I talked about this on my workshop recently called Empress of the Storm. I went through a really big storm period and my emotions got really mixed in it for a minute, but then I caught myself. I had some of the deepest purging I've had in a really long time. And then because I was able to be objective, I was able to navigate the situation really quickly. So I love that you brought that aspect in because yes, there's so much of this like de-internalization process because that is one way to just get our wheels spun as entrepreneurs is to take everything personally. So there's so much in that conversation. But yeah, I absolutely love this conversation. We probably could literally talk for hours, but I would love for you, like if there's any way for people to work with you or just like anything else you want to share about your work or how people can find you. We've had a really poppin' live. So we've had a lot of people in here and I can't wait for them to see you and your page and all that. So yeah, any way where people can work. Yeah, anything you have to share.
Well, I just really love connecting with people. Like if you come and follow me, I'll probably send you a voice note. I'll be like,
Yep.
hey, why are you following me? How'd you get here? What are you into? Like, what's up? I really value connection and just like that intimate experience. You'll soak in all the stuff from my content, like I just constantly pouring out how to approach the healing of your scarcity in a way that offers you more authenticity, more expansion, and more grace through the process.
Yeah.
A big piece of what I do is okay, I want to do shadow work, but do I actually feel safe to create that intimacy with myself to go there?
Oh, I love how you explained that. So good.
Thank you.
So good. Yes. Oh
Very
my gosh.
natural.
For
Yeah.
everybody that's been watching, I know there's still a bunch of people in here. I'm so glad you guys got to experience Summer's magic. There's just so much. And again, when I did a reading with you, there's just so much value in understanding gene keys, especially like from this framework. And I feel like you do such an amazing job of tying it in with soulpreneurship. And so I'm so excited that for those of you that aren't watching live and you're here right now, hell yes, because you just got a lot in this live. So thank you for coming on and sharing your magic, and I'll see you in like a few days.
Yeah.
So
Love you.
I love you.
Bye.
I'll see you soon. Bye. Bye, everybody.